Hello, dear students. Today we are going to continue our talk about natural disasters. Open your books at page 30. Look, Hurricane Katrina. Exercise 1. How did Hurricane Katrina affect New Orleans? Listen to the opinion.
Hurricane Katrina has seriously affected New Orleans. A lot of people lost their homes, and many others lost their lives.
And now let's get acquainted with our new words. Listen to them, write down in your vocabularies, and learn by heart.
Army engineer,
Below sea level. Be under threat. Come ashore. Declare. Desperate. Emergency services. Evacuate.
eye of the storm, levee, looting, pump, rebuild,
Resident.
slow recovery, smash, state of emergency, storm surge, strengthen, struggle to cope, the military, violence,
Now let's watch the video, read the text, and find out the information.
Hurricane Katrina, the tragedy of New Orleans. On Tuesday, the 23rd of August, 2005, a tropical storm formed over the Bahamas. By the 25th of August, the storm had strengthened and become Hurricane Katrina. Residents of the city of New Orleans had no idea that within days their city would be hit by one of the worst disasters in U.S. history. Hurricane Katrina was one of the most powerful storms that has ever hit the Atlantic coast, with winds of over 270 kilometers per hour. When the eye of the storm missed the city by about 72 kilometers, everyone thought the worst was over, but they were very wrong. New Orleans has always been under threat from flooding, being surrounded by the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain. With most of the city meters below sea level, a series of high walls called levees protected it. As the hurricane came ashore, it brought an 8-meter-high storm surge that smashed through the levees. Over 1 million residents had already left the city, but tens of thousands, mainly the elderly and the poor, were in temporary shelters. As the waters rose, people were begging for help on roofs. Emergency services struggled to cope. Eventually, the military and the National Guard moved into the city and began to get food and water to the desperate few that remained. After 43 days, Army engineers pumped the last of the floodwater out of the city. These days, New Orleans is making a slow recovery. The city has improved the levees, the community is rebuilding itself, and everyone is working hard to make sure that nothing like this will ever happen again.
Exercise 2. Read again and match the subheading to the paragraphs. There is one extra heading. And now let's check. The first paragraph is about the birth of the storm, E. The second one is about gathering strength, B. The third paragraph is better to call surrounded by water, A. Paragraph 4, G. An awful situation. The fifth paragraph, F. Help at last. And the last paragraph, D. Moving on. You see, C. Collapsing building is an extra one. In exercise 3, you are to match the words in the text with their meanings. Broke, smashed, manage, cope, move from the sea to land, came ashore, sending people to a place of safety, evacuating, old people, the elderly, in danger, under threat, asking anxiously, begging, stealing, looting, announced, declared. Exercise 4, you are to fill in the words. Threat, number 4. Recovery, number 12. Beg, number 8. declare 2, shelters 6, pump 10, tropical 1, level 5, rise 7, struggle 9, lose 11, and die 3. Now let's listen to the expressions and repeat them.
Tropical storm. Declare a state of emergency. The eye of the storm. Be under threat from. Below sea level. In temporary shelters. Waters rise. Beg for help. Struggle to cope. Pump water out. Lose their lives. Make a slow recovery.
In exercise 5, you are to imagine you lived through Hurricane Katrina. Narrate your experience and listen to the model.
We heard about the tropical storm, but when the mayor declared a state of emergency, we knew we had to evacuate the city. The city is below sea level, and the risk of flooding is too great. When the eye of the storm missed the city, some people relaxed and thought it would be okay. We didn't. We thought it would be best to leave and stay in temporary shelters until the danger passed. We watched the scenes on the television and saw the waters rise. People were begging for help and struggling to cope. We stayed away until the army had pumped the water out of the city. After that, we went back to help rebuild the city, including our own house.
In exercise 6, you are to find information about a disaster that happened in your country. Find out what kind of disaster it was, when and why it happened, what the situation is now. Compare it to the disaster in New Orleans. Listen to the model.
In April 2017, terrible floods happened in the areas of Akmola, Aktobe, East Kazakhstan, Jambul, Karaganda, Kushtanai, and North Kazakhstan. 7,115 people were evacuated and at least 70 people had to be rescued from floodwater. Around 1,500 homes have been damaged, as well as some public buildings including a school. The disaster is different to that of New Orleans because it was on a much smaller scale. Fewer people were affected and there was less damage.